Welcome to I Love Cal City. I'm James Robinson, and we're here today to interview would-be candidates for our city council. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us why you came to Cal City and what keeps you here.
So my name is Socorro Chavez. I came here in 2017. The reason why I moved here is because I got employment with the city. And after having employment, I became very involved with the community, doing community events and seeing the growth and the ups and downs that the city has gone through. Since leaving my employment in March, I've dedicated more time to volunteering and seeing what resources we need. The reason why I would like to continue being part of the city is because I have a house here and I eventually want to have a family and sustainable growth for my children eventually when I do have them.
What made you decide to run for office?
For my community, I see how my community stands up for our current government through our ups and downs, and I would just like to be the voice of their concerns and their needs.
Have you ever held public office before?
No, but I do have experience in local government up to 7 years. So I would like to implement the knowledge that I do have.
So in your experience that you do have, what have you learned and how was it different than you expected?
So the first 2 years of my local government, I was an admin secretary and an admin clerk for the Public Works Department. During that time, I was able to learn about audit requirements for our city. I also ran the Fremont Basin Integrated Management Plan that should be utilized, and that is something that controls our water system as well. I have experience in payroll, which is also finance and human resources. And then also when I was in city clerk, which was the fourth position I hold within the city, I was able to be more involved with the council meetings and then the procedures and the processes of the meetings and the policies.
What makes you qualified for this position?
I feel like having 7 years of government experience internally gives me a little bit more of an advantage of understanding the processes within our local government.
In your opinion, what is the proper role of city government?
So the role of a council member that I am aware of is that they're part of legislations, policies, and the value of the community. Knowing that, I know that we have to be very communicative with our community because we value their concerns and what they stand for, and that's what a council member is there for, is to be the voice of the people.
As a representative of the people, what method will you use to stay in touch with the mood, the interest, the concerns, and the desires of the public?
This question was a really big question for me because that is a good one. How am I able to do more than what I already am? I'm a social butterfly, as you may know. So I do go out to community events, reach out to the community there. I'm very approachable, but I also understand that our local government lacks that in itself. And hopefully we will be able to improve the current outreaching ways that we have in order for us to touch more people. Only because I go to these communities, I don't get to my 12,000 residents. I only get to maybe 100 or 500. But as of right now, it's just me attending communities. I'm very approachable. I was like, you can speak to me whenever, any concerns. I'm very, not one-sided. I'm very open-minded and I love hearing anything, good or bad.
Many council persons see their primary role as one of oversight and guardians of the public finances. As a council person, what can you do to improve the quality of life in California City that does not involve the city budget?
Communication and trust. Once we fix communication and trust, then we're able to implement financial structure, right? Because now people trust us. Now we have our staff and our management and our council that are able to be communicative and trustworthy within each other. So when the community comes in and asks these questions or responses regarding financial concerns, we're able to answer them with no concern.
So which issue or issues do you consider the greatest facing California City, and how will your service as a council person address them?
So the main concerns that we have in our city is currently our trust in our current budget. That being said, once running for council, I would hopefully bring in that communication and trust within our government and our community. And then once we obtain that, hopefully be resourceful in finding ways of finding financial stability for our city in order for us to provide services to our community. Knowing the knowledge of the process of local government, I'm hoping to implement that with my goals and bringing in some type of revenue.
Persons running for office state what they will do. Mm-hmm. This wish list is generally what we all want. Wanting something and having a practical, workable plan to accomplish it are two different things. How will you accomplish the things we all want when others have failed at the same task in the past? What makes your plan different?
Unfortunately, I'm not someone that can go out there and fix everything in one day. Rome was not built in one day, even though it was destroyed in one. But probably improving the current policies that we have. That's what council members are there for. Okay, we can implement a goal today and this policy today, and 5 to 10 years, hopefully get some response from that, like a capital project list. Example from experience, the water department has a capital project list. And with that list, it provides you what streets and what is improved through time. So in 5 years, you see the improvements, like, okay, Redwood had a whole new street and line. If we're able to provide a policy like council is supposed to, and then in 5 years provide these services for our community, that I would love to be the start of that. I would do the groundwork of being the start to implement something 5 years down the line. It may not be today, but we can start the process.
During every election cycle, candidates promise to bring in new business to increase our tax base, yet no one has succeeded. Cannabis came, but the large promised revenues did not follow. How will you bring business to California City?
Based on my experience before, I know there's a lot of small businesses that do come into town and do flourish. Some of them do not. The process, we don't have no process in place. Based on my experience, right? Because I did cannabis permits. You know that I've done the whole and what was my main thing? We had no process or procedure. Yeah, we had a municipal code to go off of. But the municipal code is also in many different sections, and they just put it all together in one section, actually. But even then, is there a paper that you guys can go off of instead of reading 50 pages? So hopefully I will be able to implement a process and a procedure so people are not calling every single department for just one process and don't know how to navigate to the next. So businesses can come here and flourish and get through the process and not take years.
So California City has gone through 10 city managers, interim or acting city managers in the last 7 years. We have experienced a similar turnover in department heads. What will you do to stabilize the city and maintain some continuity?
Yeah, no, I have noticed that working for the city, there is a huge turnover in headed department heads. My favorite bosses have unfortunately been let go. First, we need to build the foundation of trust between the council and management. And once we're able to do that, people with high demand positions, they would tend to stay as long as we have a city manager that stands with them as well. There's been individuals that have been in the city for more than 20 years, despite the ups and downs. Why? Because before the 10 or so city managers, they had a city manager that stayed for a long period of time and stood by their staff.
California City is in a financial crisis. We've not had a real budget in more than 2 years. We do not have liability insurance placing the city at risk. We are behind on our bills. What can you do as a council member to create financial stability and put on a sustainable track forward?
So being part of local governments for as long as I have, I was also part of the budget in 2020 and in 2021. Knowing the processes and procedures that we have, the only thing that we do, I guess, refer to saying that a budget is due is our municipal code, and the only thing that it states that it's due July 1st. So probably implementing a proper procedure that everybody can actually view and have dates and times, and we can go on that every year, and hopefully once we implement that, have it ready within the timely manner that it needs to be done.
With our current staff cutbacks, California City will need to be creative in meeting the needs of our community. What will you do as a council member to fill the gap?
Well, that is a really tough question, but I think in order for us to fill in the gap, knowing that we don't have the resources or the revenue in order to staff our employees for the city, we will need volunteers. And in order to get volunteers, we will need a volunteer policy, which is something the city does not currently obtain. So hopefully during my time, if not already, I'll be able to implement something where the community can be more involved with our city, and hopefully we can together bring it to where it needs to be for our future.
The Measure C special parcel tax came to an end. The cannabis industry taxes never materialized in any significant way. A special tax has failed twice. What is your plan to maintain a functioning city with even fewer funds?
I'm very accustomed with a lot of things failing here. And I'm very used to having very limited of things when I worked for the city. That being said, knowing that this is all getting cut off and I'm coming in during a very straining time for the city, it's more being resourceful in what I know. Bringing that knowledge of knowing how to provide more grants and bring in revenue for the city. So hopefully, once all that is implemented, there's a clear line on how the process is done, bringing in more businesses, bringing in more revenue for our city, and then hopefully we wouldn't eventually don't have to rely on these things. But yes, that's something we do have to rely on right now, but long term, hopefully fix that.
So let me ask, would you support a new parcel tax?
Yes and no, I guess you can say. Yes, because that's what we currently have for our revenue, but it didn't pass. That's the whole thing. It's not the answer that we need, obviously. There's other ways. There's other ways for revenue that the city can look into, not just parcel, because not everybody that lives here has a house here, and then not every parcel has a house. So yeah, there's a huge issue there. I guess try to find other ways to bring revenue to our town other than fees, because the fees pay for the services that are being provided, which pay for the employees that are working that hour. Like for a business license, for example, it's like $129 once a year, but that's because you take the time to do it, right? But if we had something where they continually paid into that will help their businesses or help the community and hopefully keep them long term, then that would be helpful for them. So try to implement something like that.
Below are some common concerns. Please address each and how you as a city council person can affect it or not affect it. First, available health care services.
I'm not really sure about that one, but maybe speaking with our current health district and implementing a plan that we can all get together with our school districts and our health district and the city as well to implement something for us to have these services. I'm not sure if that's something the city has full involvement in, but I know that our health district does provide these services.
How about local businesses? Our availability of common stores and places of entertainment is limited, and many stores don't last.
So we do have a lot of local businesses that do come to our city. Fixing the current policies and processes for them will help them stay here long term. As of right now, the processes are not clear enough for them. So this is why some businesses tend not to last. So if we did have a process in place for them where they can refer to, maybe we can sustain businesses long term.
Another common concern would be bringing in larger industries for local employment and supporting our tax base. Mm-hmm. Do you have a way of affecting that?
So being in city clerk and being part of the cannabis permitting process, I knew that the process was not clear enough. Once we have a clear process, maybe it's long-term industries will come here. But as of right now, the process takes more than 2-3 years because there's nothing set in stone. Once you get to step 1, there's step 2, 3, and 4.
Another common concern is continuing ruptures of our water system.
So our water infrastructure was built when the town was first done. And since then, the lines have not been improved. We have rights to our own water. It's called the Fremont Basin. It's on the city website as well. And it gives you information about these three industries, which is AVAC, Mojave PUD, and California City, and Randsburg, Mojave, if I'm not mistaken. So technically we do have control of our water. What we need to do is find resources and grants. Because we have control of our own water, we're able to look for these things. During my time of public works secretary, I did one for the south and north water line replacement. And these are grants from the state and federal, the millions of dollars that we can get. We need the staff in order to do it.
As a council member, what can you affect for the generally poor appearance of our city?
Like getting with our nonprofits here, we have so many that love our city and our community and want it as beautiful as all of us, right? They want it to be something that's eye-pleasing. So once we have a policy in place, hopefully getting everybody that would like to beautify our city all together, we can gladly do it. Because we have so many people that have volunteered their time and suggested so many ideas, and we have not used them. So yeah, to finally be able to utilize them, like if we can come up with a procedure and policy in order for us to do that, then that would be nice. Our city would get beautiful real fast.
So how about our deteriorating streets, all our potholes?
The thing with potholes, that is funded by the street department, correct? And the street department only does, I guess you can say, repairs for potholes. And you can only repair a pothole over and over and over again so much. In order for us to do improvements in our roads, we need to finish our TDA audits, which have been getting done, I've heard and seen. Once those TDA audits are completed, you can get grant funding and federal funding. Once you get that, you can make capital project lists within 5-year times. If you get it approved, every 5 years, these roads will get fixed. So the resources are there. Once again, the resources are there in order for us to have it all completed and done. We just need to have the staff in order for him to do the process and complete the process once the council or whoever is in charge completes a process and procedure. We need the staff to implement them and utilize them. And then once that is completed within 5 years, we will get better roads and improvement in roads, and not just, let's just cover it up real quick,
How can the public help you and the city be successful?
Communication and trust. That's it. Those are the main things I need. I definitely need the trust from my community and the communication. If there's a concern, if there's something good, even if there's something good, tell me, please. I want to know the good stuff too, other than the bad. But yes, communication and trust. Having those two things, I feel like we're able to flourish. We're able to have a better sustainability for tomorrow. Because now with trust and communication, we can come up with procedures, with ideas, with things that will improve the city.
Final question. Describe the changes and improvements that we can expect to see at the end of your term if elected?
I'm hoping once I do get elected that I'm able to bring in that trust within our government. That is the biggest thing that I really want. I really want the trust between our staff, between our management, between our community and our council. So I'm hoping that I will bring that, and once we bring that trust, we bring in that communication, the communication where we identify what is really needed and where we can bring the revenue in our town. Where do the people want it, right? And then once we get all that together, then I can assist with the policies and procedures. I can at least start something and it not finish, because it's not going to be done with me. It's just the beginning, right? And barely it's going to scratch the surface once I do that. And then once we implement that 5-10 years down the line, you guys will be able to see such a beautiful change within our town. So I would just like to start it. Yes, I would like to start the trust and communication in order for us to get there.
So one final thing, why don't you take a moment and tell the people why they should vote for you on November 5th?
I guess the reason why people should vote for me is because I've been part of local government for 7 years and been through the ringer. Besides that, I've enjoyed doing all the community and seeing how much my community pushes through everything. I feel like I will be able to make a better change this way. Like I was already making such a big change when I was doing it, like implementing so many different things in order for us to communicate with just staff and management. So to be able to bring that communication between management and community and council, that's what I want to do. And I want them to know that there's somebody there that is looking for their best intentions.
Look at the camera and ask for the vote.
Okay, so on November 5th, please vote Socorro Chavez for City Council. Thank you.
On behalf of I Love Cal City, I hope you do get out and vote. I hope these interviews will help you make your decision.
Yeah, hopefully. Bye!